If you want to live longer and healthier, you got to listen to this. Your mitochondrial health is central not only to energy, but longevity and disease prevention. And guess what? It can be influenced positively or negatively by the environment, by nutrition, by your hormones, and even, yes, psychological factors. And there's simple lifestyle, nutritional, and mental emotional things you can do right now to optimize your mitochondria so you have a healthier, longer life. And the best part is, most of these things are free. Check out this new episode of Heal Thyself to live longer, live healthier, all about your mitochondria. Hello and welcome to Heal Thyself, another episode. Thank you for joining this knowledge bomb today. For those of you, this might be your first time. That's me, Dr. G. And I'm going to do a really deep dive on a critical issue that is really reshaping the way that we are viewing aging, the way we're viewing longevity, and that's mitochondrial health. You heard about it, people talk about it, but are they really clear? And have they made it fundamentally simple enough for us to understand? When I talk about mitochondria, right, we think about it as the powerhouses of the cell. But there's actually new science that is showing that it is much more than that, right? They have a role in energy, in immunity, in aging. But how about cancer prevention? Oh yeah, that's coming out too. We're going to talk how the mitochondria is affected by our lifestyle choices and what do we do right now that can optimize our mitochondrial health. We might not even know what mitochondria is just yet or the full understanding. Don't worry about that. But after this, you're going to be like, ooh, I need to be up-leveling my mitochondria. And you can do it with cheap ways. I'm going to tell you how. Because if we understand how to care for the mitochondria, right? We're not just talking about living longer, but we're talking about thriving, feeling better in our bodies, more energy, more resilience, more vitality, right? Who doesn't want that? So we're going to talk about the mitochondria. Why is it important? When we talk about the mitochondria, they are organelles in nearly every single cell in the body, except your red blood cells. They ain't got no mitochondria. And its main job, and remember this from school, tune into that class when you were there sitting down and you were talking about mitochondria. Everybody knows the word. Remember they talk about powerhouses of the cell. Remember they talked about generating something called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. This is the molecule that our body utilizes for energy. And it happens through something called cellular respiration in the cell, primarily through something called the electron transport chain. Boom, we create ATP, we got energy, we feel good, right? And when it comes to the mitochondria, it also has other roles. It doesn't just create energy in the cell. We've been severely underwhelmed by mitochondria's function because it does more, right? We haven't even given it the credit that it needs. And now it's coming back. It's coming back. We're talking about it, right? So it helps with signaling in the cell. It helps with the death of cells, right? Cells go through a life and death cycle, just like us. And the ones that are sick or not functioning, they need to die, right? They help regulate calcium levels. Oh yeah, for sure. If they weren't regulating it, we'd be depositing calcium in our blood and our vasculature and we would die, right? They produce reactive oxygen species when our immune system needs it, right? So they help in the production of supporting the immune system to localize inflame when it needs to. And we're seeing that. We're not just seeing it like we're not just talking about it. It's based on the research that's coming out. We're no longer just seeing it as like these little energy factories, but we know that they have really important roles in communication, right? Is your mitochondria functioning to the highest level so your cell is able to communicate with the cell next to it? It's involved in overall systemic health. There's recent studies that have come out that has shown that mitochondrial dysfunction is the root of actually many chronic diseases, including the ones we see like neurodegenerative diseases, heart disease, even cancer, right? So for me, I always need a good analogy for me to understand better, for it to cement, for it to solidify. So if you think of the mitochondria as a power plant in the city, right? And it's generating electricity, right? And it's regulating communication lines. That's a signaling part, right? The electricity is generating, that's the energy part. But it also has these communication lines spread throughout, signaling. But it's also getting rid of waste. So when the power plants fail, what happens to the city? It's chaos, right? Energy is not right. The communication network's not right. Waste is building up. It is such an important part of the city or our body to make sure that we are in a healthy, optimized state. And think about it this way. The mitochondria, the disrupted mitochondria of a cell will have over time systemic effects. Now, the connection between mitochondria and cancer is real. When we think about mitochondria, actually dysfunction mitochondria can actually lead to cancer cells. When you think of a cancer cell, they're relying less on their mitochondria. It's called the Warburg effect, right? And they rewire their metabolism to survive with less reliance on the mitochondria. And that's interesting. But mitochondria in itself, in a healthy cell, will still play a very important role in holding back the growth of cancer, right? It actually provides these precursors that actually help regulate these reactive oxygen species levels. And reactive oxygen species over time create inflammation in the body. And over time, inflammation in the body that is going on chronically and is unchecked can theoretically begin to create genetic changes which create cancer. So mitochondria has the ability to be a cancer suppressor, right? Healthy mitochondria, they are regulating that oxidative stress from life, from a poor environment, from poor diet, from stress. And it's actually ensuring that all of those cells that are damaged, they're not working right, they go through their death sentence. They die. We got rid of them. And it's actually preventing the growth of those cells that are misbehaving and perpetuating their life cycles and growing little babies and then babies and then babies and then growing, and then it goes out of control. And then we have a tumor. And we see that in studies, right? We see that when you restore mitochondrial function, like normal mitochondrial function in a cancer cell, that makes them extra super sensitive to treatment. So it's just an interesting process how cancer cells have evolved to not work with optimized mitochondria. They go by their own rules, basically. But we really want to understand that this link underscores basically how important mitochondrial health is for cancer prevention, right? It's not just fatigue, the energy part, but it's actually cancer. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, what is going to disrupt our mitochondrial health? What is the thing that is affecting us? You know, I'm really passionate about supplement quality, especially when it comes to omega-3s. That is why I am loving Puori's O3 Ultra Pure Fish Oil. What sets them apart is their uncompromising commitment to purity and transparency. It is one of the cleanest companies I have yet to ever find. Every single batch is clean certified, third-party tested. It's certified by the Clean Label Project against 200 contaminants, including heavy metals and pesticides. It is 5-star across the board, and their fish oils are IFOS certified. That means they measure the freshness. They get it from small fish, which typically have lower levels of environmental contaminants. Their formula is potent. It's got 2,000 milligrams of long-chain omega-3s. That is a therapeutic dose, and it's got EPA and DHA at therapeutic dose. A lot of companies out there, fish oil, have EPA and DHA at a really low level. I take it every day for my heart, for my nervous system, for my brain, for my eyes. It's helpful for muscle recovery and inflammation. What I love most about Puori is the name, what it stands for, Pure Origin. And it gives you a peace of mind. This is the best omega out there. Give it to you, give it to your loved ones, give it to your family. You're going to get 20% off by being a Heal Thyself listener. Go to puori.com/DRG. That is PUORI.com/DRG and use the code DRG at checkout. I'm going to tell you something that has been revolutionizing my health. I monitor my health with SiPhox Health, and I'm passionate about my data of my health and wellness routines. I want to know that it's reflecting in my blood work. This is a comprehensive at-home blood testing solution, and it's so easy. I just took mine. You take a little skin prick, you send your blood out, and then you're going to get your labs back. No appointments, no driving to labs. It is super easy and it's convenient. And that's the word of this time in our lives. We want convenience, we want it easy so we can go about our lives. And the reports that you get back are not just raw numbers. You have clear explanations, personalized insights. You get to know about your biomarkers, actionable recommendations. You get all of what you need to know about your health. And guess what? You could do it every single year. Track your results. You even get an action plan. You can even get customized supplements. So if you're ready to take this blood test, take control of your health, get your data in, make a little file right on your desktop and fill it up every single year. Follow your health, and SiPhox made it convenient. Go to SiPhox.com/DRG and use the code DRG for a special discount. That is SiPhox.com/DRG. Check it out. If you love the podcast and you want to be down with the Dr. G Heal Thyself community, we give incredible tips every single week on getting a healthier physical, mental, and emotional body. the newest updates of my favorite products, the newest updates of my favorite practices. Stay in the loop by joining the Dr. G community. All you got to do is go to any one of my posts on Instagram and comment the word news. You'll get a DM to join. Big one. Big one is environmental disruptors. This is why for so many years I've talked about environmental disruption, because we want to make sure we're taking care of our mitochondria. Toxins, pesticides, heavy metals, air pollution, that's going to damage the mitochondria, right? It's going to increase that oxidative stress. It's going to impair mitochondrial DNA to properly function, optimally function. And studies have shown this. Study in Environmental Health Perspectives Journal, they showed a strong correlation between air pollution exposure and mitochondrial dysfunction. This is why I tell you guys to make sure you're taking care of the air in your house, to optimize your mitochondria, to prevent disease. It's real, it's true. UV radiation, for sure. The thing about mitochondria, it doesn't have good repair mechanisms. The same that we see in like the DNA of a cell, the mitochondria, the DNA of the mitochondria doesn't have really good repair mechanisms, right? So we want to make sure we're protecting them by staying away from the things that give off oxidative stress. That means in the summer, not being in the sun for a long time, not being in the sun where you're damaging your skin. That mitochondria do not like that. But also there's nutritional disruptors. Of course, diets high in processed foods, trans fats, they're going to impair how well our mitochondria is functioning, can promote inflammation in the body. When we think about deficiencies, what does the mitochondria love to survive? Magnesium. Well, I talk about magnesium so much. B vitamins, especially when we think about B2 and B3, mitochondria love those. And CoQ10, right? These are going to help mitochondrial energy production. A study in Nutrient Journal in 2019 demonstrated that actually having a CoQ10-rich diet enhances our mitochondrial function, right? Especially in an aging population. You want to have a CoQ10-rich diet. We're going to go over a little bit about CoQ10 in a minute. And then we think about hormonal disruptors. Yes, thyroid hormones will affect and regulate mitochondrial biogenesis. That means the growth of new mitochondria, right? The inner workings of mitochondria. When you have a low thyroid function, like hypothyroid, it's going to lead to reduced energy production. That's why actually people feel sluggish when they have hypothyroid. Estrogen too is going to protect the mitochondria because it helps reduce that reactive oxygen species, those inflammatory molecules that can affect the mitochondrial DNA. So then that means postmenopausal women are vulnerable to mitochondrial dysfunction. And the question is the elevated risk after menopause connected to downstream the manifestation of just mitochondria being dysfunctioned that we see that high cancer risk or that elevated cancer risk? What about mind-body disruptors? Yeah, chronic stress for sure. Cortisol. Cortisol disrupts everything, but yeah, it'll affect and disrupt your mitochondria. It'll disrupt the signaling. It'll increase inflammation. We see that studies in psychoneuroendocrinology have shown that stress-induced mitochondrial dysfunction actually contributes to fatigue and burnout. What about one of my favorite ones, trauma? Yeah, emerging evidence is connecting mitochondrial dysfunction to the somatic expression of trauma. And this is really intriguing to me. It's sort of bridging the physical to the felt experience. And Dave Asprey was here talking a little bit about this, mitochondrial dysfunction and trauma. And what is a somatic expression of trauma? How does someone express with the trauma that they've had? And is it implicated in the mitochondria, right? We're having cellular energy deficits due to emotional dysregulation. What about mitochondrial autophagy? We hear about that. Why does it matter? It does matter because when you're over the age of 30, right? When you're over the age of 30, your mitochondrial health starts going down. It's important. If you're listening and you're over the age of 30, perk up your ears and check this out. When you're over the age of 30, your mitochondrial function goes down. So you got to be thinking about your mitochondria for sure. Mitochondrial autophagy or mitophagy is when the mitochondria is cleared out. The mitochondria is clearing out damaged mitochondria. It's replacing them with healthy ones. Without this process, damaged mitochondria are going to accumulate. It's going to lead to inefficiency in energy production. High levels of those inflammatory molecules, what are they called? Reactive oxygen species. So think about garbage building up in your house. All that garbage building up in your house, that's going to be problematic. 2021 study in Nature Aging found that enhancing mitophagy actually improves your lifespan. Go figure. It makes sense, right? Makes sense. It's reducing those reactive oxygen species. You're providing energy. energy and life force moving through you is essential for everything, including healing. And it actually reduced the markers of aging in animal models. But real world, we're seeing if you optimize mitophagy through diet and lifestyle, you support energy production, you slow aging, you reduce the risk of disease. So the next question is, how do you optimize your mitochondria? Well, there's a few things you can do. And the evidence shows that a lot of these things are free, including exercise. My God, I mention it on every show, don't I? But lifestyle strategies are important. But for exercise, there's a particular type of exercise, and it's called high intensity interval training. Has been shown actually as the best exercise, or one of the best exercises, to promote mitochondrial biogenesis, meaning the growth of new healthy mitochondria. Resistance training, great. It's supporting mitochondrial density in the muscles. There was a 2017 study in Cell Metabolism that showed that actually exercise enhances mitochondrial function even as we get older. What about nutrition? I mentioned a few things like the B vitamins, like the magnesium, but you also want to get more antioxidants in your system. Vitamin C, vitamin E. You can take reduced glutathione or liposomal glutathione. It's not just for your liver. It's not just for detox. It's also for your mitochondria. It's protecting from oxidative damage. Polyphenol-rich foods, those blueberries of the world. I love green tea. This is why I tell people matcha green tea all the time. Mitochondrial health, it is connected. Fasting actually activates mitophagy, the clearing of old mitochondria. Studies from the Journal of Cell Science show that actually fasting promotes new mitochondrial growth. We're not just talking about it, we're seeing it in the research, right? We want to make sure, but the question is how much, how long? The way I go about fasting is I say if you can even have spaces intermittently of when you're eating from 12 to 16 hours, that's good. Consider that fasting. If you want to do multiple days, more than 2 days, talk to your doctors, tell your doctor about it, because you want to do it safely. But regardless, mitophagy will be activated. You'll be doing right by your mitochondria. And then there's emerging therapies, right? NMN, nicotinamide mononucleotide. It's the precursor to NAD+, vital for energy production and mitochondrial repair. They are having clinical trials in humans, and it showed that NMN supplementation improved insulin sensitivity and the production of energy. One of my favorite ones that is connected to healthy mitophagy, the clearing of old mitochondria, strengthening your mitochondria, and actually has real world benefits of increased muscle strength, muscle repair. That's urolithin A. Urolithin A is from pomegranates. The problem is you got to eat a lot of pomegranates. So there's companies out there that offer it, and it's fantastic, right? It's one of the best things you can use. A study in Nature Metabolism 2019 actually showed that urolithin A improve muscle strength in older adults. This is one of the ones I always refer to when I post that study. CoQ10, I mentioned it before, really crucial for a healthy electron transport chain, which at the end, the terminal end, is creating energy for us. CoQ10 is moving along that system. So CoQ10 is really helpful, especially in aging adults, but so is PQQ, pyrroloquinoline quinone, and it stimulates mitochondrial growth and repair. Another fantastic one. And look, you take these, you don't take one day and go, wow, I have all this energy, it's amazing. This is something that you take over a few months, and it's slow. You just begin to notice your energy is better. That's the mitochondria at a healthier level. And you'll feel when the mitochondria feels healthier. Of course, sleep plays a major role, but if you're sleeping well and your mitochondria are a mess, you're going to feel fatigued the next day. So a study in Mitochondrion 2019, yes, there's a journal called Mitochondrion, highlighted the role in enhancing mitochondrial biogenesis when it comes to the utilization of PQQ. Fantastic one again. CoQ10 is fantastic too. And I mentioned before, cortisol, right? Like, do all these things, but if you have high cortisol, it's not going to do anything, right? Really, really, the number one thing you got to be doing is making sure you have a hold on your stress. And because trauma and stress are going to influence mitochondrial signaling, it's going to reduce energy availability for anything. If you're going to a physical or emotional process, it's going to reduce that availability. Think about it. If you're chronically fatigued, you're not going to be able to mount an emotional process. How are you going to process what's going on if you're so exhausted? That makes sense, right? So new studies are actually suggesting mitochondrial dysfunction contributes to many symptoms like chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia, right? 2018 study in Nature Reviews Neuroscience, they explored how mitochondria respond to emotional and physical stressors. Both impact the overall resiliency of your mitochondria, right? So think about it. Physical and emotional stressors, we got to think about those things as a first. When you care for your mitochondria, it can improve not only your physical energy, but actually your emotional balance, your mental health, right? Think about it. But let's recap a few things before we wrap up. Mitochondria are essential to energy, longevity, disease prevention. They are influenced by the environment. They are influenced by nutrition. They are influenced by our hormones and even psychological factors. And simple lifestyle changes, just simple ones. There's emerging therapies. Simple ones can actually improve your mitochondrial health and function. Go try it out. Take one actionable step. Go with the magnesiums, the B vitamins, the vitamin C's, the vitamin E's, reduce glutathione, CoQ10, PQQ. Go with those and see how you feel when you take them, right? Take them for a while. Do those things consistently and notice how things start changing. Get a hold of your stress. Start doing some somatic meditations or just meditations in general and notice how you feel. If your nervous system feels regulated enough, do some high intensity exercises. Do some weightlifting exercises. For the next knowledge bomb, we're going to be going deeper into this. We're going to be going how the circadian rhythm actually impacts your health. And yes, I mean that. The circadian rhythms will impact your health, your overall mitochondria. It's all connected. Thank you for listening to the show. Please rate, review, and subscribe. Give love to the show. I love you all. Thank you for joining Heal Thyself.